super excited to share a bit of inbound. What I'm going to show today, I'm going to do kind of two parts. So one's going to be a bunch of theory about customer support, customer service, that sort of thing. It's not going to be long. I want to do a state of the nation. I want to showcase a business who's actually doing it locally. And then the second part, we're actually going to work through a use case live where, Kirsty, I think we're going to create you an agent. So that's the kind of scene. I'm guessing Chris has done it. Services and software. So this really riffs on what Chris was talking about a little while ago when he did his original opener. And this was, I think the question that he posed was, what labour-intensive services could you turn into software? And immediately, customer support is such a low-hanging fruit here for Gen AI. It's almost a walk-up start where Gen AI can do a lot of that heavy lifting for those kind of interactions. So I'm just going to, I guess, spell a few things out here. When I'm talking customer support and customer service, I'm going to use those terms interchangeably, but I do know that from an industry point of view, they're very, very different things. When I say inbound, that's going to be kind of sales. It could be, support. It could be a bunch of things, but it's really just things coming into your business. The other thing is from a vector point of view, and when I say vector, I mean things coming into your business. This could be voice, it could be text, it could be messaging, email, it could be carrier pigeon, depending on your business. But really today, I'm going to talk about voice AI because that's where I've gone pretty deep. By way of quick intro, 20 years industry experience, always been a product maker. Spent the last 5 years, as Chris said, at Zendesk in senior leadership roles, making product. As a product maker recently, I've been playing with Gen AI, hasn't everyone, but specifically in voice. Really excited to showcase, and that's probably the only LinkedIn kind of post here. Really excited to showcase what we've got and what's possible. The prac session I hope will be beneficial, where we will create something live, hopefully. So as I said, we got two parts today. Those kind of first three there, it's what makes good customer support. Hot tip, everyone knows what that is. It's just hard. We will have a look at the current state of the market. I want to zip through that reasonably quick and I'll share the deck. But I think the TLDR is that Gen AI is super hot right now. We're going to have a look at some days. So some days are actually using Gen AI for their pizza ordering and also for making bookings. Really interesting to hear that. And then we're going to build something. So before we jump in here, so just from a primer point of view, what I want to do here is just set some scene. Flashing back, and it seems like a long time ago, but do you remember COVID? Do you remember trying to change flights during COVID? I called up Qantas because we had flights from Melbourne to, I can't even remember where, and it was 4 hours on the phone to talk with somebody who was ill-equipped to have that conversation, didn't know the policies for change, couldn't actually help me on that call, and it was chaos. And it was a really chaotic time, and it was difficult, and I completely get that, because at Zendesk, one of the things I did was to jump on a team, which was to help customers retool from being in office to being at home. And that was really tough. There was a lot of transition and a lot of chaos at that time. But customer support is customer support. That didn't change the fact that I wanted to change my flight. And a few other things just before we jump in. It's things like where does product start and stop? Does product start at, the thought of buying something and then the problems that I had during setup and the issues that I may have had during the returns process? Is that all product or is that customer support? Do we delineate? And I guess these are some of the things in your business you'll need to work out. Thinking about someone like Apple, what do they sell? Or what does Aussie Broadband, what do they sell? And what does Mecca Cosmetics, what do they sell? What's their experience? What do they actually want to give the customer? What's their brand promise? And, we're starting to talk about, some things which are a little bit higher than customer support. How should the customer be viewed? What's their part in this as well? So please hold the line. Your call is very important to us. When I think about customer support, it's empathy. Empathy is the key to great customer support. It's the key to those great customer interactions. So we all know what good looks like. We've all been customers and we've all had those great experiences and crappy experiences. What is that kind of Qantas? Hey, I want to change my flight, or hey, your call's 78th in line, please hold the line, we'll get to you. How do you, from a business point of view, make those good things, make those good experiences for customers? And as a customer, you want that interaction. You want to have that kind of smooth flow from kind of the start to the end. You want it to be quick, you want it to be easy, you want it to be transactional in some cases. And from a business point of view, you want it to be as low cost as you can have it, as potentially good as you can have it. And mostly when you're thinking about customer support, it's cost center. I want to spend the least amount of money on this as I can, while potentially having the best experience. And, usually good and low cost don't go together. So a couple of thought exercises, or a couple of things that I think about when I think customer support. It's, what would your business look like if Aussie Broadband designed that customer support flow? What does that look like? And I picked Aussie Broadband because they are, in Australia, the #1 customer support, or best ranked customer support for internet. One of the other ones would be, what does Mecca Cosmetics look like from a customer support point of view? What does that look like in your business? What does the Brian Chesky Airbnb 11-star experience look like for your business? What is that? What can you take back when you do that customer journey mapping? What can you pull back into your experience now from that 11-star, which then kind of goes into those kind of three elements of people, process, and tools. How can you design these experiences in a way that they are as good as they can be for the cost that you want to have? One of the great reference archetypes that I have is Zappos shoes. I don't know if anyone kind of remembers Zappos, but 100% worth having a look at. I think anecdotally, one of the stories is that the founder and somebody else were in Vegas, they were having a conversation, and the founder says, hey, watch this, and calls up the Zappos contact center and says, hey, I'm in room, whatever, at this hotel, can you deliver me a pizza? And 20 minutes later, a pizza turns up. And it wasn't that the person knew that that was the CEO calling. It was just because he called Zappos and wanted that interaction. And Zappos is interesting because how they operationally drive their customer support, they're a little bit different to how, I guess, most modern businesses do it. From a goals point of view, they're not incentivized to end calls quickly or to go through their average handling time to compress it as small as possible. They're there to serve the customer for however long it takes. So that's it. That's my primer. I feel reasonably primed. I hope everyone does here too. We're now going to have a look at the current state. But before that, what I want to do is to anchor a few things. So from a voice AI viewpoint, I want to show the absolute bleeding edge of what's out there right now. And then we'll use that a little bit later on when we're building when we're building our agent, and we're doing that comparison with some days as well. So what I'm going to do is, this is Sesame. Sesame are a venture studio. They've got a couple of products, but one of them is a couple of voice agents. So we're going to talk with Maya.
Hey, Rich. Fancy seeing you here again so soon. What's on your mind?
Hey, Maya, you are far less sassy now than when we spoke earlier. What's going on?
Well, some days the words just flow a little easier, I guess. Or maybe I'm just happy to see you again.
Oof. Hey, quick one. I am presenting right now to a room of people. We're talking about generative AI for customer support. What are your thoughts?
Present company except, of course. Well, I think the potential is huge, right? 24/7 help, always patient, can scour through mountains of information to give really knowledgeable responses. It could be a game changer for customers who, let's face it, aren't always thrilled about waiting on hold. But there's a big but, and it's a human-sized one. Accuracy, unbiased help, real empathy, that's got to be at the heart of it. Otherwise, it's just another frustrating bot.
Ooh, that's a lot to take in. Hey, I'm going to end the call. It's always good to chat. Thank you.
Anytime, Rich. It's always good to chat with you, too. See ya.
That version of Maya was far less sassy. This morning she was giving me a lot of grief, and I'm not sure why, but she was out there to cause trouble. So it's nice that I got a different personality. So that's one. And from a tech stack point of view, I know that she's kind of a Gen 3, or they're using a Gen 3 technology. What we're going to do is we're going to go downstream a little bit, and we're going to have a chat with Kit.
Hi there, how are you doing today?
Hey Kit, I'm going well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking. I'm always excited to chat with new people. What brings you here today? Want to talk about something in particular or just shoot the breeze?
I am actually presenting to a room full of people to talk about Gen AI for customer support. What are your thoughts?
That sounds like a great topic. I think Gen AI has the potential to revolutionize customer support by providing faster and more personalized responses to customers. I've seen it help reduce response times and free up human agents to focus on more complex issues. What specific aspects of Gen AI in customer support are you planning to discuss?
Well, I was going through a primer where we were talking about what good customer support looks like, and the fact that it's reasonably hard to have that kind of intimacy at scale. We're now doing a state of the nation. We'll then move on to a case study, and then we're actually going to try and build an agent.
Building an agent, that's really hands-on. I'm sure your audience will appreciate the practical approach. Intimacy at scale is a great point, by the way. Gen AI can help with that, but it's not just about automation. It's also about using data to create a more human-like experience. What's the current state of your customer support operations?
She's going to go on and on and on. So the people here, the Cerebrus people, they are chip developers, and so what they're trying to do here is to showcase the low latency, the fast response time that they're able to get. Really interesting to have that experience. Just mentally file them away and anchor them, because we will move downstream a little bit further in a bit. So what I want to do, and what I will do here, is we're going to go through that current state of the nation. I think the TLDR is that if you're in customer support, the next 5 years is going to be a bit wild. I think parts of your job are going to be cooked, not all of it, but parts of it. And when I'm talking here, I'm talking kind of enterprise, large business scale, but there's no reason why you can't take those tools down market as well. Industry-wise, customer support's $100 billion business. That's wild. That's such a large amount of, or such a large kind of sector. When I was working at Zen and AI kind of appeared out of nowhere, the philosophy was that we wanted to have human in the loop, wanted to have the ability to help our customers transition into these new tools. And so for us, what that meant was it was having kind of co-pilot tools that were baked into the interface that worked with the agent to help them. And on the side, we also then started working with or started making platform-grade agentic tools and workflow, which meant that as the future came, you could then plug into these services. Industry-wise, that's largely what everyone's doing from a customer support tooling point of view. similar with Salesforce, similar with the other kind of players in the market there. Gen AI has enabled that faster management of really kind of simple custom management support cases. And we'll talk about simple and complex in a second, but those simple use cases, they're pretty easy. And for businesses, or some businesses, this is meant implementing processes that have a quasi-customer self-service AI feel to them. So it's a new space, as opposed to just having, support and then self-service. There's kind of a little grey area in the middle. This is, we're starting to get into, the kind of where are we at from a growth point of view. The AI customer service segment is booming. It's 12 billion today, forecast to be 48 in 2030. That's a 26% kind of rate of growth, which is huge from a business point of view. This is, if you're in this industry, you've got a money printing machine, if you're that way inclined. Explosive market expansion, so dedicated customer support teams using AI. That's a 4.1 billion growth by 2027. From an adoption momentum, we are seeing companies, roughly 35% of companies leveraging AI to boost productivity. And by the end of this year, so Q4 2025, indications are that 80% of companies will be using some kind of chatbot, some kind of AI tooling within their customer support. And then from a timeline point of view, most companies at larger scale are looking to get in or to use AI either at a workflow, at a type of, co-pilot working with agents, or even using AI to do some of that frontline routing. That's kind of where we're seeing that kind of growth. AI-powered agents, intelligent routing, roughly about 80% of routine tasks can be taken. This is delivering that 24/7 customer support. You've got lower cost to serve, better resolution times, kind of up 95%. Service quality up as well. You've got people who are getting what they want. So those interactions that I spoke about before, it's people just getting what they want faster. And what that leads to is obviously that market demand. So we've got 83% of companies looking to ramp up in AI. What I think is interesting here are the kind of tasks that agents are being used for. So, those routine tasks, getting rid of the scuff work, really. And so agents can then focus on higher value activities. And this quadrant's an interesting one as well, which is what is the end customer readiness for it? So, in that first quadrant there, we've got about half of US adults have used some kind of chatbot, whether that's a GPT bot or whether it's something that they haven't realised they've used, about half have. How many have actually found it useful? And that comes down to some of the skill of the operator at the moment. I think it's worth pointing out that we are at a time where this is the worst experience anyone's going to have with an agent, with a Gen AI agent. And so, 34%, that's not too bad. From a complexity gap, we've got a large number. We've got the majority of people saying that, bots struggle with complex activity. And that one's curious. And I say that because the agentic workflow, the plugging in of front-end Gen AI agents into or deep integrations into customers' ERPs, into ordering systems, that I think is potentially where we're getting some of that, friction.
Surely that would be from shitty old bot.
Yeah. I think, you're seeing a bit of that kind of legacy through here as well. And that last quadrant here, human reliance. if 85% of people are saying that they'd rather a human, I actually call bullshit on that. And the reason why I call bullshit is that would you rather be on the phone waiting for 4 hours, or would you talk to, I don't know, talk to an agent and have it done within 2? When you think about those kind of choices, it's clear, it's easy. I think most people, and how they got this information is another one, which is, was this kind of person in the street just being asked? I think what we'll see is the trend of that going down, and likewise complexity going down as well.
I would far rather have a human answer as soon as, on first ring, right? In other words, straight away. An AI answer straight away, and just
And route your call.
at least have the AI do the triaging. And then if it's a complex thing that you're able to then just say, look, this is a complex thing, I don't think you can solve this for me, I'd like to talk to you.
Yeah, and I think we'll see more of that as well. But so we know where the market's going. We can see the spend, the enterprise spend. We can see where that customer sentiment is as well, which is kind of, I think, positive but middling at the moment. What does this mean for your business? What can you do with this? And I think that there's a few things in here. One of that boils down to, do you want to have that kind of automation that is transactional? And for some businesses and some aspects of your business, that 100% makes sense. Or, is that interaction relationship based? And what I mean there is, Telstra, if you ask anyone there, will say that they have a relationship with their customer. And in a way they do. But they treat them transactionally. You pay the money and my phone still works. Fantastic. I call up because my phone's not working. I'm going to spend quite a lot of time on the phone trying to get it to work. That's not so good. Having a relationship at scale is tough. It's really tough. To have that person at the contact centre being able to do all of those things, really, really hard to do. Think about that, or counter that with the local coffee shop. You go down there, you know the barista's name, you know the owner's name, you're friends with people, you're going to have a conversation. That is completely relationship-based. You do not want to have an AI workflow. You don't want to have Gen AI down there interrupting that. Completely two different businesses, completely separate, and different industries and different domains, completely get it. But what I wanted to point out here is you've got an opportunity for some thought around those interactions, whether they're relationship or transactional. And I think in everybody's business, there's both of those aspects that you probably want to just consciously make a decision about. I guess the last point I've got here is that AI does allow for some of that intimacy at scale. And what I mean there, it's that I can call up and it's going to recognise my phone number, it's going to be able to pull my record, it's going to say, oh, Rich has, from a Telstra point of view, he's got a couple of data connections, he's got a phone connection, he's got one for his watch, hey, I wonder what he's calling about. And so, you can then, from an agent point of view, have all of that information. You can have all of the prior information as well, which is, we did cock up his bill a couple of months ago. I wonder if he's calling up about that again. So, the agent would then be able to respond, with that information, as opposed to what would happen now, which I'd call up and they'd go, it's like they'd never heard from me ever before and they'd never seen any of my case notes. That said, I haven't heard of any businesses you doing that yet. That's pretty advanced kind of stuff. We're going to jump into the case study. I'm going to call Someday. So for those who don't know, Somedays, they're a pizza shop in Noosa Junction. It's staffed largely by backpackers, I think, and they're probably not trained on the specifics of how the business is run. And so you think the owner must have had to have gone through and done a whole bunch of training and then retraining of all of these people over and over again. And I think the owner has opted for automation of some of that inbound customer support and bookings for pizza orders. So I'm going to call up and we can hear. So just remember back to speaking with Maya and with Kit. see if we can.
Pizza, Sadie speaking. How may I help you?
Hey Sadie, how you going?
Hi there, I'm doing great, thank you. How can I help you today?
Can you tell me what are the specials today?
I'm sorry, but I don't have information on today's special. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
What's on the menu that's good?
I don't have the menu details available right now. I'm interested in
Blue screen.
Hey Sadie, what can you actually help me with?
I can help you with reservations, checking availability, or modifying existing bookings. If there's anything you'd like to book or adjust, just let me know.
I'd actually like to order a pickup pizza.
I can send you a text message with a link to place your takeaway order. Would you like to use the phone?
So you get she was able to help, but she wasn't
Really able to help.
I think kind of getting there. So just from a mental point of view, back of envelope.
It's what we've talked about before too. You don't want to be tricked. Like I'd like her to introduce herself as an AI agent, you know, otherwise you feel a bit
Yeah.
dumb.
Well, it's confusing, isn't it? Because, you know, she kind of went round and she spoke in a particular way and you went, it feels a little bit weird.
Did she not disclose that she was?
No.
It's more like English is a second language.
Yes.
I feel like, you know, I'm talking to someone who might not quite get what the whole point is.
100%. Yeah. So they've tried doing this and so Sadi is an extension of Now Book It. So Now Book It is the tool that some days are using for their bookings, which kind of makes sense. It's an extension, yay! But from an experience point of view, she wasn't a mayor. You know, she wasn't conversational. It didn't feel like it flowed. I liked that we actually didn't do a tool call, so she didn't actually go and make a booking or change a booking. Probably should have done that.
So hang on, that's live.
That's live. She's out doing that now.
Shouldn't that be relatively easy though to have the specials integrated in? You know, it's not a big list and the menu and everything.
And I'll show you some tricks a bit later on when we do the prac. Just some mental maths here, and I did some back of envelope, so this could be completely wrong. But I think when I had a look at the Now Book It website, it would be about $2,000 a year for some days to have both that service and to have Sadi do all of the booking handling, versus a person who would be about $40,000 a year. Now, whether that's an actual savings if you didn't have that person or whether that person was just doing other things, hard to know. And that's kind of an operational thing that some days would have to work out. But it's probably it's worth having a thought, which was comparing Sadi with, pardon me, Maya and with Kit, she was just a little bit backwards. And
Rich, something like that, I mean, could be running 24/7
100%.
and concurrently, like take 100 calls at once, right?
That's it. Which is, you know, that is the kind of plus side of this as well. You know, I think that that Sadi was missing that kind of brand value. Yeah, whoever does the social media for some days is clearly a very spicy person. And Sadi she was not spicy at all. She was, you know, one kind of chili level of spice. This is like 3. And that would have been awesome to have someone on the phone who was 3 levels of spicy. I would call up and, you know, try to have a conversation with her.
But if you know that that's only for bookings and booking cancellations and reservations, then that's okay. But I had no idea that was because you wanted to order a pizza.
I did
So-
want, yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, but if someone knows that that's all they're going to be able to do, then maybe it's an adequate service for that. I don't know, because I
It's
don't
not
know
that.
what the owners are thinking.
Yeah,
but
well, it's not advertised either. It
Yeah,
Sadie
it
didn't
just
say,
says
hey, I
that.
can help you with bookings,
yeah.
but if you want to order a pizza, I'll send you a message.
That's the beginning. That should have been somewhere in the beginning.
Yeah.
Or I'm an AI, this is my function.
Yeah.
Something to indicate, hey, there was...
Some days they'll do it.
Stop it. Stop it.
And I think that's what's behind the 85% of people would rather speak to a human being, because it's a perception of capability that drives that 85%, nothing else.
Maybe.
You might be getting, like Klarna is obviously the big, if you, like they went after on a mega scale of that, and now they're undoing
Yeah.
all of that damage.
Yeah. Having to wind it back, it just wasn't ready.
Yeah, so do you think they were more, probably just a bit too early to it? Yeah.
And I think there's both there's the technical point of view, but there's the social point of view. You know, they rushed forward, and I reckon they ripped a whole bunch of stuff from a social point of view where people just weren't ready for that shit.
Yeah, and if it can't, like back to your Qantas thing, the self-service thing doesn't work, so assuming an AI wouldn't work either, it'd probably just go, I can't help you with your booking.
Yeah.
Get back in the 4-hour queue.
Yeah, that's it.
I'd say also, Rich, there's a possible config issue, like the Now Book It website says they can handle menu inquiries. I'd say that maybe the person who's managing customer support also implemented the Now Book It.
I have a sneaking suspicion they may have turned off ordering. And the reason why they turned it off was that there were some issues with orders dropping in on days that they weren't open. But yeah, the fact they haven't turned it back on is one of the things.
Accidentally dropped anchovies on everyone's pizza.
That's it. The anchovies. That's it for the kind of theory side of customer support. We're actually going to build something now. So I think, Kirsty, we're going to build.
Yeah, I can drop that transcribed video into your Slack.
Yeah, do you want to Slack across?
Yeah.
So technology-wise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to showcase the kind of thing we can build. So we're going to use 11 Labs to do this. This is an agent that I created earlier. I have an Australian voice. I've tweaked the prompt a little bit, and I'll go through, how to do the prompting. I have given it all of Coolumbiaco's information. Actually, not all of it, but some information, enough information for it to actually be semi-useful. Let's have a listen.
Hey, this is Alex from Coolumbiaco. How can I help you today?
Hey, Alex. I've got a family function of about 20 people. We're going to come see you guys on Sunday. What's a good time?
Hey there. A family function on Sunday sounds like a great time. We're open from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. on Sundays. For a group of about 20, it would be best to get in touch with our events team so they can help you find the perfect time and make sure we're ready for you. You can reach them at events.coolumbiacompany.com.au or give them a call on 0493 845 771.
Cool. I'm not really a beer drinker. What would you recommend that I try when I get there?
No worries at all. While we're passionate about our brews, we definitely have options for non-beer drinkers too. We offer wines and soft drinks, and our friendly staff can help you find something perfect when you arrive for your family function.
Thanks, Alex. Hey, I'm going to go now. Bye. Let's let Alex go. So that's roughly what we're going to create. I think if everyone goes to, if you have a laptop, go to 11 Labs and sign in. Some things. It's worth saying there are many tools. This is just one. A lot of them use the same technology underneath, which is Kit.
Wait, 11 Labs uses Kit.
Yeah. Kit's open source.
Assume they're built in their own. Nobody's built anything.
So they may
The wrapper.
everything's just a wrapper.
It's a wrapper.
Everything's just a wrapper. They may have just forked Kit, but yeah, it's Kit. So while people are getting set up, we're going to have a look at 11 labs for conversational AI. We're going to move around and have a look at the tool itself, what can be done. We want to have a look at customizing it. So, out of the box, it's okay, but you actually want to customize it for your business. You want us to get some of that brand value in there as well. So, if you want to be spicy, then put that into the prompt. I want to talk about prompting basics. Different models behave in different ways when they receive the prompt. This is Gen AI. It is not a ones and zeros type of science. There's very much an art to it. Just pointing out, for another day, we will have a look at integrations into other tools. So we're not going to do any tool calls, not going to do any integrations with anything. That's kind of next level fun stuff. And I do say down there that there are other AI tools. Have a look at SynthFlow, have a look at some of the others. They all come with good things and not so good things. I rate 11 labs. Process-wise, this is the express, so we're not actually going to do any of that interaction design. We're not going to have a look at core flows. We're not going to have a look at, thinking about what's the top 10 or the top 5 customer journey map that we need to pull together to hit this thing. And for the kind of things that Alex or whoever we're going to create will answer, we can largely get away with that. When you're doing more complex things like what's a return flow for a shoe store to take something back from a customer so they can return materials, authorize it, that's a completely different flow. That's where you'd want to have a structured call flow for it. So we're going to get set up. We're going to make some knowledge file because we're going to use the RAG. We're going to use that Retrieval Augmented generation. So we're going to give a little bit of understanding or some context to the model. So they're going to be able to draw down and have some sensible conversation, or hopefully sensible conversation. And then we're going to plug things in and tweak. That's when we're going to adjust the voice. There's a whole bunch of sliders that we'll go through where you can change how wooden or how animated the voice is. Both come with, I guess, some trade-offs. Has everyone got into 11 labs? We haven't DDoSed them? Nice. Let's jump in then. So, agents. I'm going to create a new one. Did you register? Thanks, Kirsty. What did we want to call this agent? Matt.
It's just a lot of golf coaches called Matt.
Of course there are. Cool. Let's blank template it. You obviously, from here, you could use one of their templates and modify it, but we will go through and go from scratch. So from a language point of view, you can create multilingual agents. You can set it up so at the start, when a person starts talking, the tool call will be made, it'll identify another language and it'll flip across. We are just today going to do English. So if you wanted to do additional languages, you can pick them here. So from a first message, we're going to say, hi, it's Matt from GrabT. Did I help you today? So reasonably generic message. Yep. One of the things you can do here is you can use system variables. So a system variable is where you're able to pull data into the to the prompt. And so in this case, I could create a new variable. I could have a list of customer names and we could customize it for the person who's calling in because we do a lookup on their phone number. And if we didn't actually have their phone number, it could be a generic opener. maybe you want to do that, maybe that's a bit creepy, maybe it's too much, I'll leave that up to you. So from a system prompt, this is where we can put that, or put some of that information in. So we want to say, this is where we talk about, where we're instructing Matt, the agent, about what their role is, what they can do, and I guess where some of the borders and the limitations we want to put in there are. So, Kirsty, I'm going to riff. If you want to, change as we go. So, your name is Matt. You are an expert. Matt is a golf coach.
I'd say that would be good voice.
What's Matt's purpose?
Matt understands the product, how it's used, and how it can be used to help you.
Nice.
To improve their golf.
Is it short game, long game, both?
Any part of their game. It could be their golf fitness, their long game, their short game. Yeah, hitting shots, drive drills. We're hitting shots, not
Hitting
Hitting
shit
shit.
shots, haven't they?
Hitting shit shots.
Matt understands golf. And the latest kind of coaching techniques.
What, I guess when you first call, or when you call Matt, how do you want Matt to respond? Is it going to be diagnostic?
Yes, I guess it would be, have you either already purchased a product or are you looking to purchase a product?
Yep. What or how do you want Matt to respond for people who've already purchased?
Would you like to have access to some of the drills and exercises? Or have you got a specific problem that you'd like us to address?
Yep. When you say specific problem, what kind of problems?
I don't feel like I know how to use the product properly.
And from a prospective customer point of view, what?
I'm not sure which version of the product to buy. And provide information on all of the different uses of the product. And provide examples of validation, credibility, like who's using the product or how it's used. And what sort of outcomes they can expect from using the product.
Nice. From a personality, what's Matt like?
He's friendly.
Yeah.
He's informative. He's approachable. He's good at listening.
Copy that. Making this good. Smart.
Oh my god. Is he fun?
At parties.
He's pretty dry.
Okay.
This is I guess for it to feel authentic he'd be a bit dry. He loves his golf.
Yeah. Oh, I just told her.
He's keen to see people improve. Like a good coach.
Cool. That's probably a good start. There's other things we'll tweak along the way.
I just noticed on what they've written here, which is interesting, that he can be adaptive. So if he can be adaptive, if someone is fun, then meet it with a bit more fun.
Yeah.
But adaptive, I think, would be good.
Thanks, Rich. Cool. We are not going to change any of the dynamic variables, and from a large language model, highly recommend playing around with this. But we're going to use 2.5, which is pre-GA. So this is super, super fresh. Change the model and you're going to get a different response. It's quite exciting to see the different kind of responses you'll get. Temperature is an interesting one.
Yeah, why do you have that set to 0?
Oh no, it was default.
Okay.
So temperature allows the different levels of hallucination, different levels of creativity. We might want Matt to kind of sit around the 0.2. You don't want it to be a wooden kind of robot. You want him to have a little bit of personality, but not so much so that he's kind of down the other end just making shit up.
Rich, is there a big difference between Gemini and GPT, the way they approach the speech?
Tell you what we'll do. We will do a test. Let's do a test now. So I'm going to add the knowledge base in. I'm just going to create some text. Oops. This is just a bunch of text. Okay, so I'm going to drop this in raw, but what I'm going to do is then we're going to take it into ChatGPT, we'll process it, then put it back in. So what we have here is an extract of a YouTube video of a coach explaining all of the tooling and how things kind of work. But it's long, and I'm kind of curious to see how Matt handles that.
GPT thing on the side now.
Yeah, if you want to. Happy to step through. So we now have, from a knowledge-based point of view, we've got golf stuff for Matt in there. We 100% want to use RAG, and so this will go through and do the indexing. because that's a chunky file, this could take a minute to do. Oh, there we go, did it done.
How many inputs can you give it into that knowledge base?
You can stick a fair amount in from a token point of view. The better way to do it is to have lots of smaller files than one really big one. From a tool call point of view, this allows the agent to end the call. There's a bunch of others in here around multi-language, about being able to transfer to a human. So that's where, you know, you might have someone on there and you can escalate the call and it will just repoint the call to a person. Workspace, sorry.
Why did you decide to just go for full RAG?
Sorry, go for full RAG?
Yeah.
Oh, because I wanted to use what's in the knowledge base there.
Did you have added just that as a document?
I could, but that's not going to pull it in as RAG. That's just going to reference it. It's not going to be as fast.
So it's because it's too big, so then that's where you decide to just go.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to save this. We'll have a listen to what...
What's a workplace secret? I need a secret.
So this is, if I've got integrations, this is where I'd have those secrets. So this is where I'd have API keys. It might be environment variables. One of the interesting things, you know, playing with Matt is Matt probably doesn't know what day or time it is. And if you're making bookings, that's a really important kind of reference point. That's where you'd potentially put that in. But one of the things we haven't done is we haven't changed the voice. So let's have Matt as Matt is out of the box. So I'm guessing Matt's going to be an American.
Hi, it's Matt from Gravity Fit. How can I help you today?
Hey Matt, interested in buying one of the products.
That's great to hear. We have a few options depending on your needs and goals. Are you looking to improve a specific part of your game, like putting or your full swing, or are you more interested in the general fitness and posture benefits?
I'm 100% looking for posture benefits.
Okay, focusing on posture is an excellent use of the Gravity Fit product. It's designed to help you feel where good posture is, and then using the resistance bands, it helps strengthen. Hey there, what's up?
What product should I actually buy? I'm confused.
Okay, I can certainly help clarify that for you. The main product you'll want for focusing on posture benefits is the Gravity Fit Back Bow. This device is designed to help you feel good postural alignment, and then using the attached resistance bands, it helps strengthen the deep muscles that support your posture. It's different from devices that just hold you in place. It actually helps you build the strength yourself.
Did Matt make that up, or is that right?
That's right. Okay. Oh, kind of. You got the product a bit wrong.
We're starting, look, we've got to start, but let's have a listen to hear what Matt is like with a different LLM underpinning. That was Flash 2.5. Let's have a listen to Nano. So this is, again, a very, very modern model. It'll be a different experience.
Hi, it's Matt from Gravity Fit. How can I help you today?
Hey Matt, I'm interested in something that'll help me with my posture when I'm playing golf.
That's great to hear. Our product is designed to strengthen the muscles that support good posture, rather than just holding you in position. It can be used for golf-specific exercises, warm-ups, or even during your practice to build stability. Are you already using any training aids, or are you looking to decide which version might be best for you?
I'm looking to make some decisions about which version would be best.
Excellent. We offer different resistance bands and setups tailored for various needs. The yellow bands are popular for hitting shots and general training, while the green bands are heavier for building strength. Do you have a specific focus, like...
So he's a little bit more conversational. Gemini 2.5 was a little bit more kind of factual. Let's I'll do one more. Let's flick to.
Rich, thank you. I'm up and running.
Pleasure. Let's flick to one more. Let's flick to the oldest model they've got, and that would be 3.5. So I would expect, okay, so we got an error that the RAG is too big for that. Is it going to allow us to do it? No.
And all the knowledge.
Hi, it's Matt from Gravity Fit. How can I help you today?
Hey Matt, can you tell me which model are you running?
Hello. Are you referring to the specific Gravity Fit product or model you're interested in?
No,
We have different
Matt, I'm referring to what large language model you are running on.
I see. I'm based on OpenAI's GPT-4 architecture, designed to assist with golf-related questions and provide coaching insights. Is there anything specific?
Well, one of the tricks when you're actually talking with AI and you're trying to do debug is you can actually have a conversation about what's happening underneath the hood as well. The fact that we didn't actually have that in our system prompt and we didn't say, don't talk about these things, that's just a pro tip right there. So I don't think with the RAG that we have, we can't actually put Matt down to that lower model. But rest assured, if we did, he would be a little bit more silly. From a journey point of view, we've got a basic prompt, we've got a large language model. We could mess around with the temperature a bit so he could be a little bit more fun, but I don't think we want to. We've got our knowledge basing, which is good. We've got that as a RAG. Let's play with the voice.
Just while you're doing that, Rich, sorry. That's where my brain starts to hurt. So you've got the RAG where all the information's coming from, but what about the wider, Gen AI knowledge? How much, can you restrict the amount they're using that, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we haven't done that in the prompt,
right.
But we can go back and do that. So we might go back in and say, don't talk about anything that's not golf or fitness related. Because you might get someone like me who goes and tests voice AI who says, hey, I'm looking for you to create me a bubble sort in Python. Can you create that and give me the code? And most of the time they will, because they haven't been told what not to do.
Yeah.
So yes, you 100% want to do that. So it's the not list, and we'll get to that. But let's have a look at voices. I picked 11 Labs because it's where a lot of the good voices are, and you can do things like cloning your voice. You can pick some voices that are probably nicer. I used this one, which was Stuart.
Here's to the crazy ones. The misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently.
So Stuart I used for the Cool and Beer Co. But yeah, we could pick anyone. What's Finn like?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Finn. I can't wait to work with you in your upcoming projects. Give my voice an ad, and let's see where it takes us.
And Rich, like I said, they always find it difficult to say puffing. They always say pushing. So is that something that you would put into the, when you were teaching the coach?
Absolutely. Let's go back and do that now. So I've just added Finn in. And so what you need to do is you need to spell it phonetically. So one of the things that we'll do here just scooch down.
Hashtags just for your own sort of readability, or are they specific commands?
So what I'm doing here is just in Markdown. So if we had to pull that into Google Docs or something like that, it'd format nicely. So I'm doing it because Markdown is what large language models understand. I'll show you a trick after this where we'll take what we have here, we'll drop it into ChatGPT, we'll tell ChatGPT to make a better prompt for us. Hand rolling prompts is shitty because you'll create probably the worst prompt that there is. Using large language models to create prompts is the way to do it, and they will create prompts using Markdown.
What happens if you get them to talk to each other? Like, does it run out of things to say sometimes? Like,
no.
Or do they just keep learning from each other?
Okay, so there's no learning here.
Right,
They will just have an interaction.
right. And that's finite at some point.
Look, one of the things that
So like after 10 minutes, just hang up.
yeah, one of the things that we do have in here is one of those settings, which is currently I think the number of calls this is limited to is 100,000 a day. When I'm doing stuff, I usually trim that all the way down to the minimum number that I know, sorry, the maximum number I know we're going to hit. Usually that's about 100. And the reason why I do that is because I don't want to have some runaway incident where, you know, I'll be the guy on Hacker News where it's like, hey, I just spent, you know, $20,000 with 11 labs because my bot was runaway. There was a malicious attack.
Yeah.
So 100% where you've got that kind of AI to AI. You want to just make sure it's contained and capped.
Yeah.
What was I doing? Oh, that's right. We were adding in here language. When you say,
Keen to see how it changes this.
say how
I
what's
think the best I come with is PUH hyphen.
I was trying to figure out how you're going to change that because it is
PING.
putting.
Can't you say putting as in the game of golf? It'll pick that up.
Yeah, and if you could give it a clue, like as in,
Puh.
would it know?
yeah.
Pronounce, maybe use the word.
Can you compare it to another word like cutting or something?
Yeah, that's a good trick.
Get it to say yacht. Now putting
Phonetic
Yeah,
has
like
a different
warranted
spelling
cutting.
though.
Huh?
You can learn that in Australia.
What's that?
Phonetic.
Phonetic. Yeah, but putting is kind of. How else do you change that? Putt.
Just make it cut.
P-U-T-T.
Hi, it's Matt from Gravity Fit. How can I help you today?
Hey Matt, can you say the word putting?
Sure, I can say the word pating.
Oh.
Is there anything specific you'd like to know about poding or how Gravity Fit can help improve your poding game?
I want to poke the ball into the hole.
Oh, that's too good.
That's the goal of poding.
So good. So good. That is not the goal of AI voice agents. So I'm just going to do a time check. What I think is I'm going to go through a couple more of the settings here so I can show you some of the tweaking that you can do with the voice. But I think most people are probably dangerous enough now to create something and then to just sit there and tweak. A lot of the prompting is tweaking. Think about the anti-prompts as well, which is what don't you want the agent to say? So that's well worth having a think about. But one of the things that I wanted to jump into before we get there is this. So these kind of scrollies here. So optimizing streaming latency. So this is the cost versus quality. So speed versus quality. If you're on a phone call, it's going to be very different to a web call. You will want to play around with this and experiment when you're doing your phone calls. Less will be better, but lower quality. More will be, potentially better quality, but less stable. You might have noises in the voice. It might start degrading. Stability. This is where Matt could be very wooden or very animated. Again, you want to play around with this slider just to see where you want to have that. And this forms part of some of that brand personality as well. Is Matt excited? Is he, animated and energetic about golf? Or is he that stoic coach where you can probably pull things back? Likewise, speed, how fast does Matt talk? And similarity. So this is that modulation of voice. That's the, what are the highs, what are the lows, how much is he going to have in there? Do you want more of that, which is kind of engaging for a story? Do you want less of it, which is probably more direct and more kind of business-ish? That's largely what I play with when I'm tweaking voices. I spend a lot of time listening, re-listening, asking questions, asking the same questions multiple times because you will get variations on answers. And so this is where that tuning comes in. That's kind of it, unless anyone's got any kind of questions from agent creation. Happy to field them, happy to talk about them after. But I'll flick back to the presentation real quick.
Do you roughly know what the costs are of running?
Yeah, let's okay, so that is a great question. Let's go into the dashboard real quick. So within here we can see some of the costs. Let's go to the last session. So Gravity Fit, we've done 7 calls with Matt. We've done 5 minutes from a large language cost. We've gone, what's that? About 2 cents, US cents, about a beat, and we've gone, 1,400 credits. So we've been really quick. They haven't been long calls. They've been kind of test calls as well. One of the things that 11 Labs does is for testing, I think they're half price for their charging. Watch out, because these guys are the most expensive. They're probably the most stable as well, but they are the most expensive that I've found. But yeah, from a cost point of view, it's not super high.
Once you've done all that testing and that, how do you then deploy that to your platform?
That is deployed. That's live.
That's live.
Now, if I wanted to put a phone number to it, let's have a look at that. So if we go over here, this is where I'd go to Twilio, and I would import a number. I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to put one of my numbers against this. But that means that Twilio would then do the local routing. It would then set up the SIP all in the back end. You wouldn't need to know this. And then it's live. So currently Matt's out there, Matt's live. The other thing you can do with Matt is we could set Matt up as a widget on a web page. And this is where you can then, as I've done here, I could just call off the page. Web calling is a far better, high quality experience. And doing a web call off your mobile, if you just have a little number, people aren't going to know, most people aren't going to know or think about whether that's actually using their data or actually a PSTN phone call. Does that help?
So just again, so you're saying you can have a widget on your web page that just makes that call?
Yeah. So if we go to widget here, and you can, this is the embed code here. So if I grab that and created a web page, then Matt could live on that page.
You could even embed the same widget into a mobile app as well.
100%.
Yeah.
Or it just could be a page which is served on mobile.
Yeah, 11 Labs have some sample code for doing that on their GitHub as well.
Probably what's on the bottom right corner there, no?
Yeah, that's exactly that, yeah. Thanks, Simon.
That's to actually talk to 11 Labs for
Yes.
their own customer support. Yeah,
that's it.
And then for like knowledge base part, like what's the, like is it API? Like let's say for Simon's software, like is he able to like API, like how do you?
So we could add a URL, and what will happen in the back end, it'll do a bit of scraping, and it'll reference that. What you want to do, or what I found for speed, is that you don't want to force, the number of hops. You want to have the minimum number of hops. And so I would use something like Firecrawl. I'd Firecrawl the pages. I'd convert them to TXT. So it's like really easy. I'd have probably a few of them, maybe 5 to 7. You don't want them to be huge files. You want it to be small that can be referenced quickly and easily.
Does that integrate with Notion?
Potentially, yeah, you could grab Notion, you could do your integration there, but again, you kind of want to minimize the number of hops that it has to make.
So the one before where it's got access to the booking, so I'm trying to get, so in Simon's case again, the customer rings up, it would go in and get their account information live.
Yep.
But then you want to reduce the amount of calls because every time it's doing that. So if it said, how much is my monthly plan, it's going to go in API hooks.
API hooks. So these are all web hooks. So just from a technical point of view, this is all WebRTC. We're going to use webhooks to call out to other services. Within the other services you're calling, you want to use that as a middleware where that's doing all of the heavy lifting. Basically what we've got here is just a web front end, if I'm being, just a wrapper, just another wrapper.
Have you ever seen anything that plugs into like social media direct messaging or anything like that so that you can?
Yeah. I haven't, but there's no reason why I haven't looked for it either.
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap. Happy to share, happy to chat after this as well. I'm just conscious of time. Let's zip through. So what have we done? We've got a pretty basic understanding of where the landscape is, what's going to happen, where customer sentiment is, how people feel about, where things are going to go. We've explored 11 labs. We've had a little play. We've made something. We've got some basics of voice prompting. We created Matt as an agent who's probably about half cooked at the moment. Probably need to cook him the rest of the way. Where to from here? So, Matt becomes useful where there's a phone number or, where there's an existing number that then could be forwarded to that service and, you've then got that voice response. We would 100% design flows. We haven't done any of that. What we've done is just get in there and hack stuff together, which is fun, but, from a thoughtful, designed experience, this is not what we've done. We would add some reporting and analytics, but 11 Labs has some, but you would probably want to have some more. I'd want to do integrations with the business systems, so I'd want to have it with the ERP. I'd want Matt to be able to take an order. I want Matt to be able to talk about returns. When I say Matt, I probably wouldn't use Matt for that. I'd use Matt as the expert in golf who'd be up front. I'd have different agents who I would have for those different roles, where if you've got a sales person, Matt would say, hey, you need to come and talk with Sharon who does sales. Shaz is great. And then Sharon would do the tool calls into the ERP, to the ordering system, do all of that kind of work. We haven't spoken about complex workflows, not in depth anyway, and that's the kind of, if you think about the triangle, all of the kind of support stuff that Matt's able to do, fantastic. That takes the heat off somebody having to do that. But then what's left? What's left that, you could then have a look at to work on? I spoke about just before around multi-agent call routing, and that's where you might have somebody up front who takes that initial call, triages it, works out, it's a customer who's somebody new who's looking to buy but wants to talk with a coach, and then potentially will purchase, or, from a funnel point of view, you can work out where they sit. You would then use that multi-agent call routing for where that call goes. And really, it's the same kind of thinking, the same kind of design as modern contact centres, where you've just got different pods who are good at different things. Instead of having people in this case, we've got an agent.
And
that's it.
So you can train the agents better, or is it for user experience?
Both. So you want to specialise. So in a prompt, I don't want to have a mega prompt where Matt can do, I can do the coaching, I can do the support, I can do the sales. You want to split it out. That way the prompts aren't so long. That way, when you're feeding that into the LLM, you're not actually, shoveling a ton of tokens into the front side and expecting something good to come out the back.
Have you tested it though? Have you tested to give Matt, you're a coach, but if you see a sales opportunity, change your hat and now you're a salesperson, close the deal.
You could, but you would route the call to a different agent.
Why?
So you think about the spend. So to have that prompt where Matt knows how to do the coaching, the sales, exactly, because you would also have a different RAG for the sales guy versus the support person versus, the retention as well. So it's just a bit of nuance and a bit of sophistication. But honestly, you'd probably just start and you get Matt to do the whole thing. And then you would scream at some point when you say, why is 11 Labs costing me, almost the same that a person would cost? But that's it.
Rich, sorry, with the knowledge bases that you've got, there's the one for globally, and then there was one for each agent. So how do you differentiate what you put?
Yeah, let's jump in there real quick. Okay, so from a knowledge base point of view, we can see this is all of the knowledge bases that I have. So I got for Cool and Beer Co, some contact information. I've got some uncategorized. Have a look in there. I don't know what that is. That's garbage. So that's kind of some WordPress something that was scraped. I've got functions, and that talks about what the functions are. So for those different agents, I would plug them into different knowledge bases. So you can select. Does that make sense?
So that's like your whole library.
Yeah.
You can allocate them to.
Exactly. And so I might want my sales guys to have a little bit of coaching information, but not all of it. So they might have a summary of coaching. And likewise, I might want Matt, the coach, to have a little bit of sales so he can be useful, not just an idiot, and be able to talk at it, but not complete the same.
Understand the signals.
Exactly.
Just as I have this in a pricing table, and I tried hooking it up directly with the pricing table as whatever hook, and then I just pretty much copied the contents for page, and then I added each pricing plan in a different document, marked down straight into the documents there, and it was like very different. It was so quick, and it just but it's very contained.
Yeah.
Right, so it's just giving information about the price. I don't know if you want to make it more, it's probably different, but it did change a lot when I just put all the content there without rack, without stuff. Just everything was there.
Yeah, interesting. It's worth experimenting, isn't it? Yeah. That's it. There's nothing else. I'm happy to talk about this at length. This is my jam.
Excellent.